Good evening. This is the Raleigh Water Board meeting. Today is Wednesday, October 7th. It's first. It's actually the 8th, right?
7th.
Yeah.
Sorry.
14. The time is 6 o'clock. President is Stu Dazell, Tim Toomey, Mary Beth Weiser, and myself, Roy Ricker. Just a reminder, if I could ask everyone to please put your cell phones on vibrate. Thank you. First up on the agenda is approval of the minutes. I would like to thank Tim Toomey for pointing out at our September 16th meeting that the board should approve all past meetings. I would like to advise the board that there are still some missing minutes from July 7th, June 24th, and September 30th. Mary Beth is in the process of finding them and will report to the board when completed. The minutes are prepared by administrative assistant and he is out on sick leave. But we can approve the following minutes tonight. The minutes of September 16th, July 1st, July 15th, and August 19th. I'd like to do them one at a time. Have you read them? And
Well, I read the September 16th, Mr. Chairman, meeting minutes, and we could add a few things here, like the date. It says Chairman Ricker puts forth a motion to approve minutes, so we should put the date there. Also, down below, this was what was in the minutes. The following topic discussion relates to the open meeting law. Superintendent Weiser discusses water business is not to be discussed outside of open meeting. Anything else would constitute a violation of an open meeting law. Also, emails and asking water department staff to do particular tasks at commissioner's personal business is overstepping the role of the position it was intended for. I think that was maybe a misquote. It wasn't my personal business, it was the board's business to recommend that I look into these issues regarding water usage. So
That's not what I was referring to. I was referring to having us call Penachuk to schedule an appointment for you. Specifically the data logger.
I didn't ask anybody to call Penachuk. I said I had a problem with my water meter reading. And Mr. Federico said, well, we can do a check on it. And that's what happened, so I don't know. So it's a personal thing? I came in as a customer.
But you need to call Penachuk. No.
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. We always handle it this way, so.
How do you not know that when we have a contract with Penachuk for customer service and billing? If you're coming in, you have to call Penachuk just like everybody else.
Well, I wasn't told that by the staff.
Okay.
All right. So I came in and
You
he said.
signed the contract,
Yeah, I know I
then you
did.
should know what it's all about.
So anyways, I asked the staff to see what they could do and maybe call Penachuk or whatever, and that's what happened. He did that, so there was another issue here, so. I don't remember even discussing that. You guys remember discussing that?
We did.
Me asking to get a meter check on my meter home? We talked about that? Because I don't remember that.
We didn't talk about that in the meeting. It was referring to just letting everybody know that if you have an issue as a water customer, you need to call Penachuk, just like all the other water customers.
Yeah,
If customers come into the office and they have an issue, I'm handing out the business card with the 800 number for Penachuk for them to call Penachuk. And they say thank you, and they leave and they call Penachuk and they get their appointment.
I don't know what this commissioner's personal business is overstepping the role position. I don't know how that got into the minutes.
Because that's what I talked about.
You
We
didn't talk
talked
about
about this.
overstepping commissioner's rules.
Well,
I would motion that we, go back to the tapes and make sure we have an accurate description of the minutes of this meeting.
any comments?
I'd like to move on and approve the minutes of July 1.
So you can put this one on hold.
you can take a vote on it.
You wanna take a vote on the September 16th meetings?
To look at the tapes.
Tim, would you put that on hold to look at the tape, that's right.
Okay.
Let's move on here. July 1.
Okay, accept and approve the minutes of July 1st, 2014. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of July 1.
Do I have a second?
2014.
I'll put a second toward that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Next one is accept and approve the minutes of July 15th, 2014.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of July 15, 2014.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
There's a few things I'd like to put into that. In the interview with Mr. Swiniarski, there's a typo in there. It's not his background, it's background as an operator.
Try that one again.
Where is that located?
In the interview for new business, second sentence, or second line. At this point in time, Robert explains his background as an operator, water operator. Should make that background,
But make it what?
ground, G-R-O-U-N-D.
It's just a misspelling word.
Just a G and S too, and R.
Okay. Anything else?
So on the last, second or third last sentence, do you want to put in the amount that we got for the bids for the pavement here? Is there any rules against that?
I think it was 95 or 94, I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly, I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, so we could get that, and put that in there. And I would make a motion, we pass that.
Where is that located?
On the back page of, page 2 of 2, on the meeting for,
We opened up 3 bids, and there were 3 bids, and we awarded
July
the contract
15th.
at that time.
for the hot dog at 401 Central Street.
Just a comment, these,
Just the price that we opened.
Yep.
just a comment, these motions we put forward, it might make sense that we write them out for her. So there's no question as to what the motions were.
Do I have a motion for, to accept the minutes of July 15th?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes for July 15, 2014.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that with the corrections.
All in favor?
Aye.
Accept and approve the minutes of August 19th. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting, minutes of August 19, 2014.
Do I have a second?
I'm still looking at. Once again, we need more detail.
On,
Old business, first paragraph. And on the last paragraph, so I think if we make a correction on that,
Can you be a little more specific?
okay. Capital improvement formal bid package was made. What capital improvement formal bid package? It's not clear enough. there should be more details on that capital improvement formal bid package. And you might want to add that, was it a draft bid package you had in there, or was it anything in draft form? Maybe enter that into the record.
All set. So do I have a second? Change
Do I
those?
have a second with those corrections?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'd like to address the board. As chairman of the Water Commissioners, I wanted to address the board, so I wrote down what I wanted to say. I have asked Mary Beth to assist me. I would appreciate if you let me finish before the board comments. I have been thinking about what's been going on with the water department and wanted to set things right. We hired Mary Beth as the water superintendent. Ms. Weiser is looking out for our best interests, and I have said at previous meetings, we need to let her do a job. This department has gone through a lot over the past years. I believe Mary Beth can lead us in a positive direction. We need to take a step back and let her do a job. We can no longer micromanage the department. We are still trying to, and it's not working. We should be setting goals as a group, working together as a team, and not working against each other. Mary Beth has been up front and has informed this board as well as the board of selectmen on many issues. We need to pay attention and listen. We have not had that kind of support in a long time, and I feel much more comfortable knowing Mary Beth is here. There's been a positive response to her approach from other departments. She has walked through the door running and has not stopped since she got here. Going forward, we will abide by the open meeting law. The commissioners are not allowed to contact Mary Beth to discuss water department business outside of meetings or to email her with assignments. Only the chairman can do this. If you do, this violates the open public meeting law. We cannot email or talk about water department business outside of meetings. As two commissioners constitutes a quorum and violates the open meeting law. We cannot ask water department staff to do things for the water board. It is our responsibility and obligation as commissioners. We will stick to the agenda during meetings and we will conduct ourselves as professionals. I want to run this board like the selectmen do. I want to discuss business, not baloney, and we will not interfere in the day-to-day operations. If the commissioners want to discuss anything that is not on the agenda for that night, it needs to be put on the agenda for another meeting. The agenda is set by Mary Beth and myself. You may contact Mary Beth to let her know what the topic for the future discussion is only, and she will run it by me. We will also be adding to the agenda an opportunity for input for future meetings, as long as it is what the board wants and we will vote on it. This is how it works. The focus of this board should be, for the time being, the ACO deadline that is approaching on October 15th, and doing what we can to support Mary Beth. We need to take a good look at the recommendations for the staffing plan that Mary Beth has provided and to discuss how we can make this happen. We will not be telling Mary Beth how to run the treatment plant or the water department. Mary Beth will keep us posted on her progress. Our responsibility is to oversee the budgets, sign pay schedules and bills schedules, as well as set rates and to set policy according to the DEP drinking water regulations. Everything else Mary Beth will take care of. We will come into the office each week to assign the payroll and bill schedule as needed. Mary Beth should not have to chase us down. This is on every Tuesday after 10 o'clock in the morning. This has been the schedule right along. It has been the past practice that the water superintendent take a vehicle home as part of the job. All other prior water superintendents were allowed this benefit, and taking of the vehicle away now is discriminatory. She has done nothing wrong for this board to even consider this. Mary Beth has more important water department business to focus on. I watched the September 23rd, 2014 water meeting. Did you hear what was being said? I was glad I was at another meeting that night and was not present. I support the articles. Like I've said, I'm tired of all this. It's ridiculous. I am just as guilty, but I want to change how we do business. As Tim said on September 23rd, 2014, things are changing, and they are changing for the better. Mary Beth has been working 12 to 15-hour days trying to clean up the mess that this board has created along the way, as well as other issues. Let Mary Beth help us move forward. For the first time, we have a chance to do right for this department in the town because we have a water superintendent who knows what to do, who actually cares. For the record, I have asked Commissioner Toomey to return a draft manual that Mary Beth is working on for the board. It is in draft form and not ready for distribution. I asked Mr. Toomey to return the manual on September 16th before the water board meeting, and I called and spoke to Mr. Toomey again on September 18th and made the same request. Mr. Toomey has not complied with my request as of yet. I would like Mr. Toomey to return this draft manual to the Water Administration Building by tomorrow, October 8th, 2014, so that Mary Beth can continue to work on this. We should not be moving anything from the water department. Can I get a motion on that?
Just for the record, at the contacted Mary Beth outside of a meeting. I have never contacted Mary Beth outside of a meeting.
I didn't say you did.
Excuse me?
I didn't say you did.
I'm
Oh,
just clarifying.
I'm just stating the rules, you know.
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second?
I want to discuss it a little bit.
Well, I'll second it.
I want to discuss it.
All in favor?
I want to discuss it.
I haven't finished reading my thing yet.
Okay. So you had a
When I'm
motion.
done, we'll go back. Quite frankly, I'm tired of all the shenanigans and am ready to move this department forward with Mary Beth leading the way. I propose we start over and brainstorm a list of goals and objectives for this department. Prioritize them so we can run on the same page. We never did ask Mary Beth what her plan was. Now, do we have any questions or discussion from the board?
Okay, so, general comment that this board made a big mess here is not acceptable to me. To make a statement like that.
Well, I think we have.
The other thing I want to bring up is that this is, if you were going to do this kind of an address, and with the content you have and with the motions you have, you should have brought it up in the agenda. So,
It's right on the agenda.
you just address the board, it doesn't say,
Yes, and that's
doesn't
what I
have
just did.
anything in there about any kind of motions. And furthermore, I don't know what book you're talking about, because I
Yes, you
returned-
do. You came and took the
returned
big
that-
book and we asked you to bring it back
I
twice.
returned that big book
And
here.
you haven't.
I am. So,
I only have 4 binders.
okay, so, I don't know what happened with it. I returned it. So what are we talking about? You kind of a motion for me to return something that was
Yes,
already returned? Okay.
it's not in this
Was you,
building.
excuse me, Chairman, are you referring to the Paul membrane book?
Yeah, that's the book I took.
Okay. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
The
What
draft
book are you
book.
talking about?
It's the draft operations manual that I'm putting together. It's a white binder.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the Paul membrane book. So that's what I had. So you're missing a book?
Yes.
Okay. So
You said you took it.
I took a book that was a Paul membrane. I didn't know what book she was talking about. I returned that book. I gave it to Carmen. He gave it to you, didn't
The Paul membrane?
he? Yeah. I thought that was the book you were looking for.
No, I did find that.
Oh, okay. So that's the book I had taken, so
Well, you had the draft book too.
I didn't have that.
You did.
Okay. Okay.
Any other comments or questions?
Well, I think that we, if we're gonna make a general policy, this is a policy change for this board. I think we should bring it up.
It's time
at
to
the
start
next-
doing things right.
Well, I think we ought to bring it up at the next meeting as an agenda item. Let's change the policy. Because for the last 70 years, this board was contacting and discussing, you know, things with the superintendent. And
By open meeting law, we're not supposed to be.
Well, how many times have I asked the superintendent to give us that in writing? So, I mean, I don't see anything in writing about how it's inappropriate for a board member to talk to a superintendent. Do you? Do you? I don't see how that's inappropriate. So if there's a law about that, I'd love to see it.
I placed a copy of the open public meeting law in your mailboxes. I put things in your mailboxes every week. Every day, I'm always putting things in your mailbox.
And I looked through that and I couldn't find where it said that a board member isn't supposed to talk to their superintendent any more than, it's been done here for the last 70 years.
Well, perhaps that was
If you want
your-
to change a policy, Mr. Chairman, I suggest we bring it up at one of the next meetings on the agenda. To
I
change the
just want to do
policy.
everything right. We took
Well,
that
I
in.
understand that, but, you know, I've been looking for the backup for this open meeting law, and incidentally, in my research, I talked to the Attorney General's office, and they didn't tell me it was inappropriate to talk to a superintendent if you're on board.
Go ahead and tell them all it is.
Well, I don't know, I mean, so if it's in writing, I'd like a statement from the town to give us a letter saying that it is inappropriate for a board member to discuss, you know, scheduling or any kind of concerns about the water system with the superintendent, excluding that from a meeting, public meeting. So I don't see that there's an issue with discussing things of that nature with the superintendent. So if you'd like to change the policy as far as that, I'd like to see a letter from the town.
The policy isn't changing. The water board has just not been following the rules. The town administrator reports to the chair. They put the agenda together.
Right.
It's the same thing that we do. I report to the chair. We communicate, and the agenda is prepared by the chair and myself. That's how it works.
That's how you work it. I don't know if that's, that doesn't cover what we're talking about. We're talking about whether or not a board member can talk to a superintendent, so.
Get any input, Dick?
I mean, it's, the normal procedure is the chairman sets the agenda with the assistance of whether it's the superintendent or the town administrator or whoever works for the Conservation Commission, whatever. And the problem, one of the problems you have with a three-member board is if one of the members comes to the superintendent to communicate some issues and then she has to turn around and discuss the issues and the points with you, she's become the conduit, linking you two together as a violation of the open meeting law. This is why it's one reason why the Board of Selectmen went to a five-man board was because we could have a little more flexibility in terms of how things are run. But when you have a three-member board, as soon as you start making, you know, in other words, if a member requests that you calls you or calls the superintendent, I'd like to put a discussion of X, Y, Z and just leave it at that, that's fine. If it's given to her, she checks with you. If you say it's okay, it goes on the agenda. If you say it's not okay, it doesn't go on the agenda. But if that person says, I want to put X, Y, Z on the agenda and then goes into a long dissertation about what, where, why, and how, that now becomes, because she needs to tell you what she heard. Now it becomes a conversation between the two of you with her as being the conduit and she's stuck in the middle. And the third member doesn't have any idea what's even going on. So that's the reason why, you know, most boards of selectmen in the area, very few left with three, because everybody was running into the same problem. And Mary Beth is exactly right, that the problem at the water board here has been that because of the lack of a strong superintendent, you guys have micromanaged and done whatever you wanted to. That's fine, that's the way it was done, there's nothing we can do about that, but it's time to right the ship and do things right. And,
Exactly.
you know, and along the way, you'll smooth out some of the bumps. Right now, obviously, with a large change in how you're doing things, it becomes a little difficult. But that's, you know, she's right. This is the way it's done, and she doesn't want to be put in the middle. And
No blame
like I say, it's the chairman sets the agenda. If whoever's chair, that's their prerogative to set the agenda. And you can take input from the members or you don't. It's normally if it's a legitimate request, the board should discuss it, and, it's put on the agenda and it's discussed at the meetings. And everyone knows, all three board members know at the same time what the discussion is, and that's the key to the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't see as a problem as giving information to the superintendent to pass on to the chairman to see if we can get items on an agenda. I think it would be any kind of policy or deliberation would be done at the board level during the board meeting. So the key word is deliberation, and where you get a potential or an appearance of deliberation is when two board members are together talking about an issue. You don't get a deliberation between a board member and a superintendent. So there's a lot of, there's could be a lot of debate on it. So what I would suggest we do is put it on the agenda for the next meeting, and then make a policy here. And then for that meeting, I think I'd like to see where it says in black and white in a law, where it is that, a individual board member can't talk to one of their employees, which really, we only have one employee here, and that is the superintendent. So that's, I don't see it as a problem. And if we want to discuss policy changes here, I think we got to bring it up at a meeting. So that's my comment on it. So
Stu, any comments?
You heard what I had to say. You asked for a motion and I made a motion. However, in all fairness to the board, Mr. Toomey wants to discuss it further. That's his prerogative. Myself, I'm satisfied.
You can vote on
Might I suggest, Mr. Chairman, that maybe you see if the town administrator will contact the town attorney, and maybe they can come to your meeting at the meeting you want to discuss this, and that way someone with knowledge and legal knowledge can explain the procedures, and rather than have a debate here about what I think and what you think and what he thinks, you get some first-hand information on what the way the system actually works.
Well, can you talk to Debbie about that, and then we'll bring it up at when it's available for Sarah?
Sure.
but still like to see it in a letter, Mr. Chairman.
Perhaps we just need a letter instead of somebody from the Attorney General's office have to come in there and
The other point I want to bring up is that, so what you're essentially saying is that a board member can't talk to their one employee during the week or to bring up issues of, potential items that they'd like to see on the agenda, unless, of course, we're at a board meeting. So it sounds to me like we're not able to talk to anything unless we're at a board meeting.
Tim, the problem we have, if the three of us were talking to Mary Beth, nothing would get done. We'd be in three different directions.
Yeah, but
In other words, a board member can talk to Mary Beth, or can talk to the chairman about something they want to discuss, an issue at the meeting. That's as far as the discussion goes. Mary Beth, if they talk to Mary Beth, she then brings it to the chairman says, yep, I'll put it on, or no, I won't. Or just call the chairman and have it, you can call the chairman and have it put on the
you can't call the
on the
chairman.
agenda, but you can call to put it on the agenda, you can't discuss the issue outside of it. In other words, the whole point of this is that discussions on policy need to be done at meetings. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. It's just.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting we
it's-
make policy.
I realize that you guys aren't used to doing that, but that's the way it is, and that's the way it's supposed to be, and that's the way the other boards in town, as far as I know anyway, that's the way we conduct ourselves.
So if Mary Beth talks to Deb tomorrow, and
Well,
see if
I'll
we
be
get,
getting in tomorrow, but.
well, whenever,
when she's next available, I'll talk.
and then talk to her, and then we'll put it on after she talks to us and gets some follow-up, then we'll put it on an agenda for the meeting, is that
Yeah.
right?
There may well be from the, I mean, we've had, over the years that I've been a selectman, we've had meetings given on the, discussions and people in to discuss the open meeting law, so it may well be something readily available already without reinventing the wheel. It'll explain it exactly, but I think if you talk to Debbie, she should be able to come up with that. I mean, the point is, you're changing how you're doing your business, and that's a
I think it's
positive,
for
a
the best.
positive sign. And it gives everybody a chance to know what's going on and what the discussions are, and it keeps business to business.
I'll make a motion, we continue this until Mary Beth gets a chance to talk to the administrator.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, providing that we get a letter stating what the procedure is recommended.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next up is, old business, request for proposals. Request for proposal. The purpose of this type of bidding will allow the water superintendent to solicit general engineering services to provide the professional engineering services on an as-needed basis to support a variety of distributions, treatment, regulatory, and planning work, and companies can place bids for the project's completion. The request for proposal RFP outlines the bidding process and contract items and provides guidance on how the bid should be formulated and presented. An RFP is typically open to a wide range of bidders, creating open competition between companies looking for work. The RFP is written so that the town of Raleigh is not obligated and does not guarantee that it will request any or all services covered by the agreement. There is no cost associated with this process, and as Mary Beth has said at our last meeting, we don't have a contract with general engineering services, only individual contracts for specific projects. I am not sure we did that correctly in the past and that this is the right thing to do. It is a good business, I am in favor of this, and I want to do the right thing. Mary Beth has provided another copy of the draft. The town procurement office is currently reviewing the document to make sure it abides by the procurement laws. Can I get a motion on this?
I've been looking at this,
I'll
does
make
this cover engineering services such as looking at new water resources and stuff of that nature?
It's whatever we have, yes.
And okay. And when would you suggest this might go out?
Well, it's being reviewed by the procurement officer right now, so I'd like to see this maybe December, January, give us time to put it out to bid. Bid.
Like in January?
Excuse me?
Did you say what, in January?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's my questions.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Request for paving update. This is under the old business. Mary Beth coordinated with the highway surveyor to have the parking lot patched to get us through the winter until we can come up with a permanent fix. This was completed on September 23rd, 2014. The cost for this was only $200 for materials. If we awarded the $60,000 at the October 27th, 2014 special town meeting, it would be my recommendation to have the board that we go out for formal bid in the winter of 2015 and complete the paving in late spring 2015. Mary Beth will consult with the highway surveyor. Mary Beth has provided the board with a quote from Nebraska? Neshoba Paving. Mary Beth did a good job estimating the cost. A quote from Nebraska is a little less. The cost is included in your folder. It gives us a rough idea and see what happens at town meeting, and then we'll go from there.
Chairman, if I may, if you look at the quote from Neshoba, it has a diagram on the back, the second page of the quote, and you can see where it includes the back of the building to regrade and redo the outback.
So we don't actually have to vote on this tonight, right?
No, just one update, just a
Okay, next on the agenda is the staffing plan update. Mary Beth received an email from Paul Provo of Weston and Sampson, the acting water superintendent, back in August of 2014. In the email, he informed Mary Beth the staffing plan needs to be updated to include additional staff to accommodate the water department operations. Mary Beth has provided just that. She has done a thorough job. Again, there is no money involved to proceed with the investigation. She will report back to the board sometime in December 2014 with a final draft including a new revised job descriptions. I recommend we move forward with this. Can I get a motion to have Mary Beth continue to investigate the costs associated with the restructuring of the water department?
I don't even know why we have to put a motion forward on that. Why?
To move forward with it.
She's already doing it.
This is giving her permission to move forward with it so we can.
It's
See
part
what
of her
it's
job,
gonna
isn't it? I don't think a motion is necessary, Mr. Chairman.
If I may, excuse me, there seem to be some questions about, the additional staffing required and, the unknown of, raising, nobody wants to, Stu doesn't want to raise the rates. So, I think it's a good idea if we do put this forward and make a motion to move forward to do the investigation.
And it's not gonna cost us anything, and it's December is when it is.
I still don't think a motion is necessary. She's doing her job.
So,
Mr. Chairman, if I may, in the brief interlude here, I think it's important as a water taxpayer, water rate payer, and as a member of the Board of Selectmen, that you're looking at a new staffing plan, and obviously you're not okaying any kind of a staffing plan at this point. It's important that she have the support of the board, and that's what the motion does. It merely supports her in going forward. What the final plan is, or what you vote finally is a different issue, but I think it's important that you people as a board with her, okay her to move forward in this project, and I say that as a spectator and a water rate payer.
So what's the motion?
I'll make a motion for that.
Can you make the motion? What's the motion say?
Motion. I'll make a motion that we move forward with a staffing plan to have Ms. Weiser continue to investigate the cost associated with the restructuring, of the water department.
do I have a second?
I'll second it, providing that we incorporate the previous two staffing plans into it to make sure we update that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Well, on the back of this, excuse me, Mr. surge of water bills in Amesbury. What's the purpose of that, Mary Beth?
Well, this was an article that was in the newspaper, and I thought the board would find some interest. It talks about their dilemma of raising rates and additional staffing.
So they raised it from 6.40 per 100 cubic feet to 8.10 per 100 cubic feet?
Yes.
Okay. We're up to 11.15 per unit. We have, and the reason why we have that is we have very few customers in town to help us with that. Amesbury is a much bigger community. I just want to make that point.
Okay, well, next on the agenda is the water treatment plant update.
Yes, that's me. So the first thing I wanted to advise the board is that we know that the ACO deadline is October 15th. And you have in your packet a letter that was sent to the Mass DEP from West End Sampson on behalf of the Water Department of Town of Raleigh, requesting an extension of the ACO. And the reason for that is we're getting very close, but the last part of the project is the well number 5. Well number 5 is actually a well field. There are 6 wells that make up that well number 5. And it's, the Lane Corporation is on site. They've completed 2 wells, and it's taking them about a week to do each well. So it's about 6 weeks. And where they only just started 2 weeks ago, we wouldn't, meet the deadline. So we're gonna be asking for extension so that we can finalize that, because that is part of getting the treatment plant up and running, to have that well number 5 go to the treatment plant. So they'll be working on that. So you have a copy of the letter, and I forwarded this to also the Board of Selectmen, so they have this as well. And we'll be hearing back from them, their response. The other thing is we've included in your packet is another revised punch list. It keeps shrinking, so that's a good thing. Small items left on the list, nothing that's going to, we're still pumping water. These are just some, cosmetic things, and some, putting locks and fixtures on furniture, and, ordering and returning some things. So it's just some small items. So that's there for you to take a look at. And some of the other items we have, the gravel road installation at the access has been, the treatment plant, that's been completed. That's not the road coming in from 133, it's the second half where the gate is to the treatment plant before it gets to the pavement. So that's been done, and they did a nice job. The work on demolition of number 5 is continuing. They're almost done with that. Still working on final site cleaning and restoration. And the cleaning and like I said, the cleaning and the redevelopment of the well field has begun, and they've done 2, total of 6. And they should be done in 4 or 5 weeks. They did the line striping on the parking lot, so we have the spaces have been denoted, that's been completed. Most of the silt fence has been removed, so it's kind of starting to look like less of a construction site. And we did a change order for the lights in the attic. The original, there wasn't any lights, so that's where all the HVAC stuff is. And so when you go upstairs, it's complete darkness. So the electrician has been, actually this week he started doing the lights, and they should be completed by the end of the week, the lighting in the attic space.
The fence is all completed?
Yes, the fence was completed. I believe late last week the fence was completed, that extra 400 feet. And work on the final stages of the radio communication between the plant, Prospect Hill Tank, and well number 2 has begun. So we're starting to communicate. Everything's getting fed back through the SCADA computer at the treatment plant. So we'll be able to see what's going on out in the system.
How far away from the SCADA thing actually working the right thing?
That's going to be It's gonna take a little bit. They're still working on, this
Probably a month, 6 months.
No, probably, if I had to guess, maybe 3 weeks or so. And then we'll be going through and testing alarms, and there'll be a little bit of tweaking of the system as they go. They'll be coming here to, they've already hooked up it here, so we do have the SCADA gonna be coming into this building. And, one of the things, well, I was gonna talk about it with the budget, but as part of that SCADA package, which is part of the treatment plant, where you see the dry erase board, that's gonna be replaced with a 50-inch TV monitor. So I just want the board to know I didn't purchase that. That's, through the project. And the purpose of it was so that we could have, an operations area here if we needed to, work remotely from here, that we could view, not control, but view what was going on at the treatment plant. Or if, the operators are at the treatment plant and I'm here and they need to talk to me about something, I can pull it up on the screen and see what they're seeing and work through the issue. So, that's what that's.
What fund is that coming out of?
I'm sorry?
What fund is that coming out of? Fund?
The treatment
SRF?
plant, yes, the SRF money. It was part of the part of the SCADA package. It's the same, have you seen the TV monitor?
Yeah.
It's the same size as it's over at the treatment plant.
Can that SCADA system be on your computer screen too? If you want to just monitor it, why wouldn't it just be just as appropriate to look at it on your own computer screen upstairs?
There's no computer upstairs.
Oh, you don't have a computer anymore?
No,
Okay,
no. That room is gonna be, used for records. It's not gonna be any office space. We're
okay,
moving all of our records
okay. I
upstairs.
didn't know that.
So I'll be using this room as a satellite office. I'll be working back and forth between the treatment plant and here.
Uh-huh.
So I'll be pretty much over, that's where I'll be.
Well, what I'm saying is, can you go on, access the SCADA on that computer screen there?
Yes,
Okay.
but the TV's already bought and paid for.
Oh, I know, I'm not suggesting we stop paying on that, but I'm just wondering, can you get it, can you get the information at other computers? Can you log in at a different remote location? Say you're on the weekend and you heard that there's some kind of a problem.
Mhm.
Can you log in on your computer and find out what the problem is and look at it?
Not from home. We don't have that capability. You need a laptop computer. We'd have to set that up. That would be additional cost.
So you need
Isn't
a
there a
laptop?
laptop vehicle for you? A laptop still here for you?
There is a laptop, that's the one that I'm currently using right now.
That can't be changed over to work on what he's talking about?
Well, you really don't want to have, that's my computer that I use for every.
No, I don't know anything about computers,
Yeah.
I'm just asking you, remember?
So it's a computer that I use for everyday work, and I use it for the email, and I'm going out on the internet, and it's not a good idea to have that kind of setup.
So if we're gonna have that set up, so
Yes.
you could have it at home, we need another laptop.
That would be just solely used for that. Yes.
See, I
Is that
thought,
something we should look into down the road?
We could, if that's what the board wants to do.
No, I'm just, so I mean, like on a Sunday morning, if they call you, say you have to come down, is there something that you could look at and say you could do this, do that, or whatever? By looking at your computer is what I'm saying.
We could do that.
see, I thought that had that capability.
No, I'm just saying, maybe it's something we should check into, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There is
Price
another,
wise.
there is another laptop that is at the water plant. It's for the operators to take when they're on call. And that one is set up to do remote, to get into the SCADA computer remotely.
Okay, so if they had to, they can control from wherever they are with that remote.
To a
Computer.
degree. Not everything is
Okay.
controllable on the computer. They can do certain things.
You have anything else on the water treatment plant update?
Nope.
Move on to the, budget update.
Okay, so over the last couple of meetings, there's been a lot of questions about the budget and, the amount of money that's being spent. So I thought, I would just try to give you a brief overview of, where we're at with the budget. So what you're looking at is, I got this, from the, town accountant. So the first section that you're looking at, it says the water department operating. This is the operating budget, this is the monies that is used for the day-to-day operations. And if you look to the second to last column, it says balance remaining, and then percent left. So anything you see with 100%, that means the money in that line hasn't been spent yet. So overall, we spent about 80, is left in the budget is 88% for the rest of the year, which means that so far to date, I've only spent 12% of the budget. That's pretty good. Normally, I'd probably be, I'd be around 30 to 35% spent of an operating budget by October. So I just wanted to make the board aware that I'm not spending a lot of money, that I've only spent 12% of the entire budget to date. The second part that you see on the budget is the overhead, and that's the monies that is paid back to the town. So the reason why you're looking at it says 100%, this is a one-time payment, so when that happens, it usually happens in June, that will go to zero. We'll pay our debt back to the town. So that's what that is, that's overhead incurred by the water department that we pay back to the town. The next section is the principal, it's the overhead for the loans, and that's also paid once a year. So that's why it's still at 100%. And when that comes out, I'm not sure when that comes out, but it will come out one time between now and the end of the fiscal year. And then the next section is the interest that we pay on those. That's something that we pay 2 times a year. So you'll see some of those numbers, percent left, it's 50%. That's because we've already made one payment. And then when we make the second payment, that will go to zero. So the budget's in really good shape. We really haven't spent a lot of money, and I just wanted to give you a quick overview on that. That's it.
We appreciate that.
We decided the next meeting was gonna go, table the 7th, correct?
It's the 21st.
21st. So, to set our next meeting, be Tuesday the 21st at 6, is that all right with everybody?
Yes.
I got a statement to make, Mr. Chairman.
I just put this down, hang on.
And that might
Okay.
impact that date.
What's that?
Okay, so I'd like to make a statement, and this subject concerns agendas, like you had your statement. I'd like to make this statement. I thought about it, and I'd like to present this to the board tonight. And here it is as follows. As a member of the Board of Water Commissioner, I am extremely concerned about the ability to provide the residents of Raleigh, especially those attending the special town meeting this month, with factual information to support the financial articles on the warrant. To date, relative to the operation of the treatment plant, I have only heard from certain members of the Board of Selectmen reiterating the opinion of the water superintendent shared with them. This occurred at the Water Board meeting of September 23rd, 2014, and consisted of Selectman Peterson and Finance Committee member Larry White reiterating that they had been told the superintendent prior to the meeting specifically that the water treatment must operate a total of 12 hours per day. I have copies for the board, including the superintendent. Aside of the fact that this opinion was never shared with me or any other water board members prior to, Selectman Peterson was unable to provide me any factual basis or data to support this recommendation, nor was that superintendent present at that time during that meeting. Given the increases in the water rates associated with the treatment plant, I feel it is highly irresponsible for any member of this board to ask the residents to support any additional funding without being able to provide them with factual explanations. My opinion, the fact we don't have any kind of factual explanation creates a big problem for us as a board at town meeting. Despite my efforts since the beginning of September, this topic has not been posted as an agenda item. This problem problem will only be aggravated by this board's unwillingness to take a good look at every kind of non-essential discretionary expense, evaluate them, and be able to defend them and to the residents' taxpayers, ratepayers. Again, despite my efforts, this topic has not been posted on an agenda item. Given our duty to the residents and ratepayers of this community to provide them with factual explanation regarding the hours of operation at that treatment plant, I request the board invite the manufacturers of the membrane utilized at the plant, Paul Corporation, to our next board meeting to provide the board with factual and detailed information relating to the proper operation of the treatment plant. At the same meeting, and for the same reason listed above, I am requesting a detailed necessity and expense report of all recent discretionary expenses created by the water department. Specifically, I would like to discuss the expense and necessity of the new office furniture, all interior maintenance work, the use of the town truck by the water superintendent, the proposed paving of the water department driveway, and any other issues the board members wish to add to this list. Rest assured, we will be asked about them at town meeting. Despite such, we can and should be able to justify them when asked at any time. I therefore move that the board invite the manufacturers of membrane utilized at the plant to our next water board meeting to provide the board with factual and detailed information relating to the proper operation of the treatment plant. I also move that our next water board meeting, the superintendent provide the board with a detailed necessity and expense report of recent discretionary expenses created or being entertained by the water department, specifically the necessity and expenses related to new office furniture, all interior maintenance work, remodeling or design, the use of the town truck by the water superintendent, and procedural paving at the water department driveway. So I have a motion, we put that on the next agenda. Do I have a motion? I'm just asking you to put it on the agenda so we can discuss this. I'm getting calls. Okay. I also move that the board discuss and take action approving, modifying, or denying each individual item requested on the necessity and expense report, including but not limited to the new office furniture, all interior maintenance work, remodeling or design, the use of the town truck, the water superintendent, and proposed paving of the water department driveway. Do I have a motion to put that on? Okay,
I'll make a motion, put it on.
I'll second it. All in favor, Roy?
All in favor?
Aye. I also move that the board adopt a policy, now this is a policy change, to allow any member wishing to discuss certain matters the ability to either make a motion to post a topic on the agenda for the next scheduled meeting and/or request such in writing, an email, to the chairman 72 hours prior to the next scheduled meeting in order to allow the superintendent or her designee to post the amended agenda on the meeting notice with the town clerk 48 hours prior to the next scheduled meeting.
Tim, you're running into this problem that may be against the open meeting law.
We should hold off on that, I think, until we get the word
Get
from
a roll
downtown.
I'm just talking about putting it on the agenda. I'm not talking about putting it on motion to pass it. These are just items I want to put on the agenda.
I understand that, but let's hear
Wait, you
about the
know-
open meeting law before we discuss this further.
Okay. I also move that the board invite Paul Corporation to the next meeting to give a detailed summary to operate a plant and discuss O&M requirements. Now that's necessary because I've been told, the department's been told that you don't have to run that thing for 12 hours, and we're being told it right now. I want to clear that issue up. So can we put that on the agenda?
There's also wasn't there a big thing that we talked about a few meetings back? Where it's some godly amount of money they get to come out and just talk to us?
Yes, I'm sure that they'll be charging to come.
I think before we do anything like
You
that,
have
we
to
should
pay for
find
it.
out exactly what that's gonna cost
You
us.
have to pay for their airfare.
Right, that's what I think, something like that, we should hold and find out what it's gonna cost, because
I'll make
we have
a,
to fly them in from Canada or wherever they are.
The purpose of this is so we can be prepared when we go to town meeting. So we can't do it after the town meeting, because we're gonna be asked questions. They're gonna be asking questions
I
of the
don't- I
board.
wanna see what it's gonna cost first, my opinion.
Well, if we invite them, we can,
I'm not sure that they would be able to accommodate coming in a 2-week. It took a lot of coordination to get, the representative to come out this summer for the training, and that was a lot of planning. And, you know, not on our part, on their part, you know. This person already has a schedule, these people have schedules, and their schedule's way out. I don't know if you can get somebody, to come before town meeting for this.
well, we can try, I think. I also move, so do you want to put that on the next agenda?
I think we should hold that, find what's gonna cost myself.
I'll make a motion that, I agree with you, see what it will cost. I think we should, there's a $12 million plant up there. Be nice to have them come out and explain it.
Okay.
But, as Roy said, at what cost?
Well, if we put it on the agenda for the next meeting, I'm sure the superintendent can get back to us what the cost, and we can decide whether we're gonna vote that on the next agenda, because it's gonna be put up for a vote on the next meeting. So in other words, we're not putting things in motion that bring them in at this point. We're putting it on the agenda, so we can get them in here soon. So that the only problem with that is that we're having a meeting the same week we're having, the week before we're having the town meeting.
27th town meeting, correct?
Yeah. So that's rather
We're having a
difficult.
meeting on the 21st, we're gonna the week before.
My motion was to find the cost before we invite them in.
Well, if it costs less than $500, is that something that you'd entertain?
It'll be more than that, Tim. They're coming from, I believe it's New York.
Okay, so the whole object of this was to be prepared for the town meeting, so. I also move that this document be incorporated into the record for this meeting. So do I have I'll make a motion on that. And do I have a second?
This will be in the minutes, Tim.
This whole document will be in the minutes. That's what I'm putting the motion forward.
They have a second. You don't need one, because it's being in the
It'll
minutes.
be in the minutes.
Well, I want to make sure that this document, with the writing that is on it, gets into the minutes. That's all I want to do. Do I have a second?
I'm thinking in a minute. I'll make a motion this document be in the minutes. And that's all I have to say about it.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Keith.